Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Universe. I am Aaron St. Dennis. Follow me everywhere at FF Mad Scientist, joined by Jeremy Schulman at FF underscore Rebel. Getting a weird glare here. Not used to broadcasting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and the sun is coming right up right now. So bear with me. You'll have to suffer through it a bit. We are here for a little bit of an early kickoff here. We're going to do 8:30 till 9:30. I believe 9:30 is kickoff, right, for Jets Vikings in London,
That's
correct?
correct. Yeah.
Correct. Then we're going to be off the air for 2 hours, I think. We're coming back at 11:30 till kickoff for the 1 o'clock games for that. So we are here for the London game. I know there aren't too many, there's no real pertinent inactives here for fantasy, so may not have too many questions for that. This week, I should mention, do you know what I get to do this week at some point, Jeremy?
What's that?
I get to go with my 10-year-old to a Detroit Tigers playoff game for the first time in
Nice.
10 years.
That's awesome.
And I did it at a very reasonable cost. Do you know how I did it?
How's
I
that?
went to SeatGeek and used promo code FFUniverse for $20 off my first order. So
Nice.
it kind of worked out. We just got our new promo code. I wanted to go to a Tigers playoff game. That's what we did. FF Universe over on
Awesome.
SeatGeek.
I'm taking my 10-year-old to the not nearly as exciting of a game. The Patriots Jags in London in 2 weeks. We're over here in Amsterdam.
Oh, see, then you could do this and
I
go to
should
FF.
should have
Go
done
use
that
FF
booked
Universe.
months ago, but yes, in the future games, I will absolutely use the SeatGeek promo code.
All right, good to know. Don't beat yourself up too badly. We only got the promo code like last night at dinner time, so
Yes.
I just happened to score it. Having said that, I was thinking I knew we got it in the morning. I just hadn't set it up, and I'm like, I should use it and go to Cleveland for last night's game. Well, they got beat 7-0, so I'm glad I didn't use the promo code last night.
Nice.
So, where do we want to start here? We don't have, like I said, you ran through the inactives. There are not really any useful inactives for this one.
Yeah, real quick, it's Morgan Moses who's the tackle. They haven't really had him much this year. Fashanu gets another start at, I think it's left. No, it's right tackle for the Jets. So just something to consider. Aaron Rodgers was under duress a lot last week against Minnesota. They've been great and they have a pass rush. So something to consider there. The rookie sliding in once again at right tackle. And then CJ Mosley is out for the Jets in the middle of that defense. So I just think Minnesota absolutely crushes New York this week. They've been on a heater. So, yeah, those are not so great for the Jets.
I don't know what to make of this one. I can't decide if this is the game, because the Jets, I can't tell. I think they're a really good team, but I can't tell. And I can't tell if this is the game where it finally comes crashing down on Minnesota, where they play a legit defense and they just suck, or if they're just going to steamroll the Jets. But that could just be because I have no faith in trusting a Sam Darnold-led offense, but it's just me. All right. Good morning, L. Smith 18. Nice to see you. Can't believe anybody else is actually up this early. I mean, for Jeremy, it's what, lunchtime there for you?
It's almost 3:00, so we're good here, man.
Yeah, it's not 3:00 here. L. Smith, I don't know about you. It's not 3:00 here. So I'm looking through until we get some more sit-start questions here. I am looking through my lineups. Do you have any interesting lineup, I guess, questions? Not necessarily questions. Like, it is uneasy, the amount of lineups, I told you, where I am starting Eric All over Mark Andrews. It is absolutely horrifying. You can't be real. Yes, you're in what, Amsterdam?
Amsterdam, brother. And
Yes.
not like New Amsterdam. We're in the actual old Amsterdam over here. Was in the UK for a while, Dublin for a bit, over here in Amsterdam the last 3 years. So,
Jeez. So, Mark Andrews out. Well, I'm not playing him. Eric All in. Horrifying. This is where we are. Absolutely horrifying.
It's totally horrifying. The one thing you can hang your hat on is Mark Andrews has been horrifying this entire season. He was wide open last week. Lamar hit him in the hands. He just flat out dropped it. We don't know what's going on with Andrews in terms of not only the play time, which, I think in the last 2 weeks, he's run something like 25 routes on like over 100 snaps. So that's not good. But at the same time, not only do they need him to block, when he's out there, but he appears still injured from whether it was the car accident in the offseason, whether it's that tightrope surgery that he had in the offseason. We don't know what's happening with Mark Andrews, but I am no longer willing to find out in my lineup. I will join you there because I have a couple of leagues where, first of all, I have a ton of Mark Andrews in dynasty leagues. He was one of my biggest buys this offseason. Whoops. But we have to pivot. And so, yeah, I'm pivoting to Eric All in a couple of leagues. I don't know if I'm going Tyler Conklin in this early game over Andrews. I think that might be a bridge too far. It is a revenge game. So I guess it's possible, but yeah, Mark Andrews, if you have to, plug him in your lineup and pray. If you don't have to, play a guy like Eric All, like a Dalton Schultz is an interesting, that type of tier guy, but it's really tough.
Yeah, I went with a couple shares of All. I don't think I don't think there was much Dalton Schultz available on my waiver wire. Ty Conklin, that was my fridge. Don't ask me what it was doing. Ty Conklin, I didn't go that low, and apparently they didn't like Dalton Schultz either. It was funny in the leagues I was able to secure a share of Tucker Kraft, how quickly and without any thought he went into my lineup, but it didn't always happen. Here's an interesting question. Sermon or Hunt? I feel like Hunt's safer and Sermon's a bit of a trap, but because we don't know Sermon's share here. This could be Tyler Goodson. It could be Evan Hall, right? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I find it really hard to believe in Goodson or Hall. Like Goodson has come in and had decent games in the past, especially last year with JT on the shelf. You just don't know when those games are going to come. I have Trey Sermon uncomfortably high right now. He's my RB 16. He's certainly not going to drop below 20, but I have him above guys like Travis Etienne. We don't know what's going on with him, even in a great matchup. Devon Achane, Mostert back. They still don't have Tua. So I have Sermon above those guys because I just believe he gets the volume. And we finally have Joe Flacco, which means that A-Rich is not going to be stealing any of that goal line work, any of those rushing touchdowns. The assumption is Joe Flacco. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but A-Rich is doubtful. So I have Sermon at 16. I have Kareem Hunt at 24. He's just facing a tough New Orleans front. So I'm going to go Sermon.
I have Hunt at 20 and Sermon at 22, and I don't feel comfortable with either of them. That's absolutely horrifying. I don't think the problem is I don't think either of them we really know how they're going to be used. We have a little more info on Kareem Hunt, but like you said, it's a much tougher matchup. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I could go Sermon here. The Jags have been pretty damn bad. Is Dak worth hanging on to, or should I drop him or Fields and pick up T. Higgins? If this is single quarterback and you don't need one of them, you should not have T. Higgins on your waiver wire. I'd pick him up in a heartbeat.
Agree with that. I really want Fields this week. I'll have to check out his schedule, but just quickly on the Dak schedule, it does not look good for Dak this week against Pittsburgh. He could surprise. I doubt it without Brandon Cooks. Not that he was doing much, but taking away coverage. But then he gets week 6, he gets Detroit. That's a smash spot because Detroit is going to crush them on the defensive side of the ball. They're just going to run all over them and run up the score. And then Dak is going to have to air it out. In Detroit's secondary, you can absolutely air it out on. They have a bye in week 7, San Francisco, Atlanta, Philly. So not terrible for him down the stretch. I don't really want to drop him for Fields long-term, but Fields has looked great. If you can, if you have another option outside of Fields, I love Fields this week.
Fields gets Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants, bye week in week 9, Commanders, Ravens, Browns. So his schedule after the bye isn't great. Before the bye, it's hit and miss. He alternates between great matchups and crappy matchups. So I wouldn't say the matchups really sway me one way or another on Fields. Also have Hurts. Okay, so yeah. Okay. So you're carrying 3 quarterbacks, and assuming in single QB, drop one of them.
I would drop Dak for Fields. It looks like you need him this week, and most weeks you're playing Hurts. So.
Yeah, who does Dak get this week? I forgot. Pittsburgh? Oh, yeah, you don't want to play him in Pittsburgh.
L. Smith, hit us with your first name. I don't want to call you L. Smith anymore unless you love it.
Current DST is the Vikings versus Jets. Drop for Broncos versus Raiders. Broncos this week. Let me see where I have them ranked. I don't necessarily love or hate the Raiders matchup. I do, however, have the Broncos as my DST1 on the week. So
Yep.
I don't feel like I think that's not necessarily a reflection of how bad the Raiders offense is. It's more how good the Broncos defense is. So you're saying drop them for the Vikings, who I have this week as 6. I could do that. Yeah, I could drop them for Denver. Let me see. I want to switch over here quickly.
I would
Where's the
too.
league where I have DSTs? I just want to check out Denver's upcoming schedule here before I say
Oh, I
drop
got
them
it.
and
I got you. Ready? So they play
go
Vegas
for it.
this week. Then it's the Chargers, the Saints at home in New Orleans, and then Carolina, and then at Baltimore, at KC. So there's only really
Baltimore KC
one or
sucks, but the
yeah.
rest is easy. You
Yeah,
keep scrolling all the way till the end. You're probably not going to want them in the fantasy championship if you get there against the Bengals, but you got like you're going to have 2 weeks in 9 and 10 where you don't want to play Denver against Baltimore or KC. Other than that, you can probably play them the rest of the way.
mhm. Yeah.
So
I'd
I
take
don't
Denver.
mind that. Yeah, Denver's a probably pretty solid pickup, I think. Feel like I'm hardly ever going to have to
Yep,
start anyone over Hurts, so
totally
I'm
agree.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Single
Uh,
QB.
so I've got another lineup decision here, and we'll stay in this vein. We were talking a little bit about Indy here with Sermon and Flacco. My debate is Sam Darnold or Joe Flacco. I have them back to back in my rankings. The only reason I have them back to back in my rankings is because Darnold has a rough matchup here against the Jets. You got Flacco, who is the presumed starter. We'll get confirmation of that pretty soon in a couple of hours here. But he's playing against the Jags. The Jags have been terrible. Olakun is out for the foreseeable future. They have a bunch of guys in the secondary who can tackle, but they can't cover. So I think Flacco is in a blow up spot this week. I'm just not sure if it's worth dropping Darnold, who's been MVP caliber of play over the last few weeks in that Kevin O'Connell offense. So what are you thinking here? Do you start Donald or Flacco this week if Flacco goes? And who do you want rest of season?
Okay, well, the one I could see starting Flacco over Darnold. I'm probably just gonna go Darnold, but did you say dropping? Because there's no way I'm dropping Darnold for Flacco. Because
So I have Anthony Richardson. So that's the only reason I would consider dropping Darnold for Flacco in a 1 QB league.
I guess, and then you're just gonna roll with whoever starts at quarterback.
Yeah.
I I think I prefer Darnold, especially this. I shouldn't say especially this week. I have Darnold at 16. I have Flacco at 21.
Darnold also has
That
a bye next week, but then he gets Detroit, the Los Angeles, Indy, Jacksonville over the next month after the bye. That's week 7 through 10. That's like the best possible schedule you could have.
Trying to look at some of the teams that have played the Jets here so that I can see what the quarterbacks did against them. I don't know if they've. Okay, so we've got San Fran, Tennessee, New England. So it'll be Purdy, Levis, Brissett, Nix, Purdy. I'm just gonna do a little research here. Levis, Brissett, and Nix is the fourth one I said. So
Mhm.
against the Jets, Purdy put up 10.8, not great. Levis put up 14.9. Brissett put up 3.9. Bo Nix put up 8.7. So Brock Purdy in Will Levis in week 2 has the best finish against the Jets. That's 15 fantasy points. I'll tell you who's going lower in my rankings as we speak. That would be Sam Darnold, who has now switched spots with Joe Flacco.
This
Joe
is my
Flacco,
issue.
it is.
This is my issue. Let's be real about it, though. That's not exactly a murderer's row of quarterbacks the Jets have faced so far. We know CJ Mosley is out. We know their corners and their secondary is really good. It's just a tough one. So
Purdy's a good one, but Purdy did it without half of his weapons, I believe, in week 1. They had what? No Ayuk, no Kittle. I don't remember who they had in week 1 and who was out. They seem to have a different player out every week, so you never know.
I get this.
May end up being my worst trade yet, but I did Jordan Mason for
How you do it.
Jaden Reed, but I was in
How
need
you
of a
do it.
receiver. I don't mind that. You never know. Like
Love it.
Mason could be the guy the rest of the year, but Jaden Reed. I think Jaden Reed's probably going to be a top 12 receiver the rest of the season. Mason could have what, 2 weeks left, 3 weeks left?
There was a report. I don't know if I can find it, but I read a report this morning that said that CMC is aiming for October 20th. Feels like he could come back. Should he come back at that time? No.
I
They
heard
should absolutely
November.
rest this guy. Yeah, they should rest him through until the actual playoffs, get him in week 15, give him a game and a half over the last month, and then just prepare him for the playoffs. But who knows what
Oh,
they're
this
love
sneaky
to.
bastard in my Devi league adding Bo Melton. Dirty son of a bitch. Bo Melton.
Richard,
That's a
what up?
solid what's up, guys? Tyreek, Zay, or Wicks, pick one. Is it sad that it's Tyreek last?
Tyreek is second for me, but I get it.
Let me look. I don't know. I feel like Wicks may be my answer here, but that's
Wicks
scary.
is the answer. Doesn't scare
Where
me,
do
not
we
this
have
one.
it? I have them back to back to back with Wicks as the lowest, but I haven't. I just literally this morning woke up and took Dobbs out of my lineup. So when I reset this, I believe Wicks will be going ahead of the 3. So yeah, I have it as Wicks 19, Flowers 20, Hill 21.
Yep. Wicks 19, Hill 25, Flowers 26. So they're right there, but I don't need to make that decision. You just go Wicks. He's going to crush. He's going to be the second option. They are playing the Rams secondary. It's awful. Jordan Love is is like a top 5 ranked quarterback for me this week. Jaden Reed is the wide receiver 4 for me this week, and I'm still plugging in Dontavian Wicks everywhere.
I think that's one where Dobbs not playing benefits Jaden Reed more than it benefits Wicks. Wicks was already in the 2 receiver sets with Dobbs, so that means Reed is presumably going to be in. You're like,
or Bo
Watson's what?
Or they just put Bo Melton out there. Yeah.
Because it's not going to be Watson. Christian Watson's out officially, is he not?
He was doubtful. I don't think it's official yet, but he's not playing. His ankle went 360 degrees. They're calling it a high ankle sprain. He's going to need a couple of weeks for sure.
Yeah, so he's not going to play. I'm trying to scroll through some of my leagues. I know as I set my lineups, I had a few where I was just like, oh my God. But I know, who I never thought would be a must start and find his way into pretty much all of my lineups after the first month of the season? Michael Pittman, who is apparently in my must start range again. I have him, I think, as like wide receiver 13 on the week with Joe Flacco in at quarterback.
It's a great sell window for Michael Pittman. He's going to produce with Flacco. I think everyone is comfortable with that. Josh Downs also is a great buy. I think he's ranked something like on Keep Trade Cut wide receiver 35 to 45. He's in that range somewhere. It's ridiculous. It's far too low for him. But Michael Pittman has not produced with Anthony Richardson on the field. We know they want Anthony Richardson on the field, at least for now. I think Michael Pittman is a sell everywhere. It's possible Flacco, Andy Dalton's Anthony Richardson here, but I think Richardson is just too dynamic. They need him to learn. It's not really a season where they're going to win. They're a young team. They don't really benefit from keeping Flacco in there. So, but we'll see.
Michael Pittman not a sell this week. That motherfucker needs to be in my lineup. I don't have any other choices. So, you know what? Okay, well, let's get to whatever here L. Smith said here. I traded ETN for Josh Jacobs. I bet he'll pop off against the Rams this week.
Good.
I feel like I prefer Jacobs in a vacuum rest of season, but it's pretty much the same level here, I think.
I'm very high on Jacobs this week. He's in my top 6.
I have Jacobs considerably. Yeah, I have Jacobs at 6 this week and ETN 17, but I feel long-term it's pretty similar.
Yeah, it'll get interesting when Marshawn Lloyd comes back. Emmanuel Wilson already eating in. So those guys have proven, and LaFleur has proven that he does not want to, run Jacobs into the ground. That said, his volume is awesome. He just hasn't found the end zone. And ETN, I'm far lower on, even though I think I'll have a decent week this week.
What are you doing with some of the nightmare tight end scenarios? Kittle, McBride, Engram, Njoku, all of them look like they're 50-50 to play today.
Yeah, I think Njoku is the most interesting one. I love Evan Engram. I just don't think he plays. Njoku is the most interesting one. He's so needed in that offense, but Deshaun Watson never uses him. So I'd assume it's the Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy show. If Cooper is playing, I believe he is. And Njoku, I just don't know what to do with. On the other end, Evan Ingram, I'm assuming he sits when he comes back. I want to fire him up. He is much, much needed in that offense.
Njoku looks like he's expected to return Sunday. Can I play Njoku or Roshan or Raheem Mostert as my flex?
I'm not playing either of those backs this week if I can avoid it. I can avoid it with Njoku. Njoku is playing Washington. Their linebacker core and their safeties are really the strength of their defense, and it's Dan Quinn. But they're going to have to focus on those two wide receivers. So it's possible Njoku has a sneaky good game. I don't know about that, but I'm still playing him over those two backs.
So I'm scrolling through some reports here, and it looks like we're getting good news on 3 out of the 4. George Kittle expected to suit up in week 5. Trey McBride in line to suit up Sunday. Yep. And Njoku expected to return on Sunday. I do not see anything on Evan Ingram, which leads me to believe he is unlikely to play, which is kind of what I thought. Questionable. Let's see. Unlikely to play in week 5 an hour ago by Roto Baller with a hamstring injury. So it looks like Evan Ingram's going to miss his 4th consecutive game here.
Yep. And what I think you need to do is, because you have Kittle and McBride in the same game going in the late window, you just have to kind of roll with those guys and assume they're playing. If for some reason they're not playing, I don't like the options behind them in that offense at tight end. You'll just have to figure something else out. But I really want to bank on those guys. They're my tight end 5 and 6 this week above Tucker Kraft in a great matchup.
I can tell you, based on the fact that the Sunday nighter is Dallas-Pittsburgh and the Monday nighter is New Orleans-KC, if any of those guys don't play in the late game, I see a lot of my lineups with either a Juwan Johnson or Noah Gray in the lineup, because those are the ones that seem to be the only available waiver options. I don't particularly love either, but Noah Gray is probably who it is.
I'll go with Noah Gray because they just keep hemorrhaging losses at wide receiver. Kansas City does. Travis Kelce has proven that he can't really get open. I mean, he caught 7 balls and looked great in terms of his production last week. But Patrick Mahomes, if you go back and watch that game, Patrick Mahomes was firing into some ridiculously tight windows to get Kelce the ball. So I think Noah Gray already has had, I think we went over this earlier in the week, I think it's something like 4 targets in each of the last few games. I'll have to double check that. But Noah Gray is necessary right now, and you can expect decent back end tight end 1 production from him this week, I think.
Are you able to sit any of the Dolphins' big 4, Achane, Mostert, Hill, Waddle right now? And this offense looks terrible with Huntley.
Yeah, you got to sit them all. I mean, Tyreek is the only guy I'm willing to bet on. You can absolutely Waddle and Achane are guys who can absolutely just take one to the house. You got Odell Beckham back, so maybe that shifts coverage a little bit. But the New England defense is still the New England defense. They're pretty solid. That offense is terrible, but they're going to try to, the reason they're benching or at least Ramondre Stevenson, or at least starting Gibson, is because they want to be able to play a ball control offense and good defense. It shouldn't work in terms of them winning the game, but it should work to limit the amount of touches in Miami. Without Tua there, it's hard to rely on anyone getting the work. I'm definitely sitting Mostert. I'm definitely sitting Waddle, Tyreek, and Achane. You can plug in and pray, but it's tough.
My highest ranked flex play in the Dolphins offense is Achane at 26. That's behind Cooper, Najee, and Ramondre. I'm scrolling here to find, and then I have Hill at 41. Wow. Yeah. Okay, I see we have a couple questions here. Juwan Johnson or Cole Strange? Yeah, that one's pretty easily strange, right? Yeah, I'm going to check my rankings just because I want to illustrate how far apart it is, but it is...
Even if that's Theo, it doesn't matter. Juwan Johnson, interesting enough against Kansas City, but we know that Kansas City defense is pretty stout. So pretty easy.
I want to start Marv for sure. I want to sit Ayuk for sure. And I think I go Higgins over Olave, just on the gut feeling that I think KC is firmly in the shut down your wide receiver 1 camp. So I think they shut down Olave. So I go Marvin Higgins, but I wouldn't fault you if you said Marvin Olave. I want to see something out of Ayuk before I play him. He's firmly on my bench till I see something more than 5 fantasy points.
You got to go Marv this week. The nice thing about Higgins is that he's playing Baltimore. They have not been good against outside wide receivers. So that's something that you can consider with Higgins. I like that. Olave, I don't care. I think Rashid Shaheed is good enough to draw coverage. So I like Olave, but Brandon Ayuk is really interesting. I have Olave at 16 and Ayuk at 18 against Arizona. We haven't seen it yet, which is the only hesitation. We should see it this game, right? That's the expectation. So if I'm pressed, I'm going to go Marv and Olave. I don't hate Marvin Ayuk.
I've just been saying, so I would say, I guess I default to say Marvin Olave then, because I've been doing the Marvin Ayuk the Ayuk thing for 3 weeks and it's just not coming around. This one's interesting here. Dell's the biggest name. I feel like it's Dell and Tolbert, but I haven't really looked that far. I think Whittington, that Rams offense, it seems to be a different two every week. Tolbert seems like this is his big opportunity here.
Yeah.
Who are you starting? I think I'm going Dell and Tolbert, but I'm going to double check my rankings here.
Yeah, I love Tolbert. I made a couple moves for him this last week because Brandon Cooks is expected to be out for a while. So that's really interesting for him. He'll be the number 3 target in what should be a pass-heavy offense. This week, it's tough to start him, but Whittington is necessary this week. I mean, I agree with you that it is it's kind of every other week with whoever these guys are. But if you're in a half PPR league, you saw Whittington get 2, 3, and then 8 targets last week for Whittington. He turned that into 6 for 62 against Chicago. Green Bay, I don't think is as good of a secondary as Chicago. Whittington may have been necessary, but I think this should be a high-scoring game. I'm going to go Whittington. And then who's Dell playing?
Buffalo.
I'll go Whittington and Dell.
I have Whittington at 50. Flex 50, not receiver 50. Yeah, flex.
Receiver 50 for me.
Oh, no, sorry, it is. Is it? Yeah, it's receiver. Thank you. Whittington at receiver 50, Tolbert at 56, and Dell at 73. So I have Dell on the bench, but it looks like Whittington's the must play out of there. Stranger McBride. Sorry, go ahead.
This is McBride.
Yeah, I think you have to risk it for McBride. And then, like I said, try and find a way last minute if McBride doesn't play. It looks like he's going to play, but grab Noah Gray or something if you have to after.
If you have questionable flex plays, put Strange in your starting tight end slot, and then you can always flex McBride or change him out. That's usually how I try to handle this sort of situation. But if your flex is solid, then I'm just going to wait for McBride. He's expected to play.
Oh, yeah, he is. Gibson or Cam Akers? Akers is all touchdown dependent. I don't think Gibson just flat out takes over this job. I know they said that Ramondre's lost the job. I think he's going to be punished a series or 2 and come back in.
Yep.
I have Gibson at 32. I have him higher than Akers, but Akers down at 47. But I think it's Akers. What's the matchup on Akers?
David Andrews. They're playing. Yeah, David Andrews is out for the season. All right, this Patriots team is falling apart. Apparently, there's reports from Mike Reese, who is the Patriots beat guy, that that Mayo has already lost the locker room and they're borderline mutiny. I don't know whether it's they want to see the rookie Drake May, or what it is. But I don't trust Antonio Gibson at all. This team sucks. They're playing Miami, who also sucks. But Cam Akers is playing against one of the best teams to run the football against, and he's needed. I think he falls into the end zone at least. You can't say that for Gibson. So give me Cam by a lot.
Sit one of Reed, Garrett Wilson, Connor, Higgins. It's not Reed for sure. I'm debating between. I want to look at the 2 matchups for the receivers before, because I know I don't love the matchup. Although Connor, you've been able to run on the Niners this year. It hasn't been as bad, but I'm looking here.
I Connor here.
I have Garrett Wilson at 15. I think you have to sit Higgins. I have Higgins down at 26. So I think it's Higgins you have to sit.
Yeah, I'm the same. Even though I like his matchup, I like what he's able to do. He just had 6 for 60 something last week. If he doesn't get in the end zone, you're going to be disappointed. Garrett Wilson, this is the game he should bounce back. Minnesota D has been good, but they've been giving it up to wide receivers.
You better get Garrett Wilson in your lineup. You got about 15 minutes. He's a morning game, so
do it.
Thurman or Chase Brown? Feel like this one's Chase Brown.
No, I'm going Sermon. They're playing Baltimore, right? Cincinnati is. That's the one thing that scares me. It really scares me off of Zach Moss. Doesn't scare me as much off of Chase Brown, but I'm just high on Trey Sermon. That's an excellent defense in Jacksonville to run on. Go ahead and fire up Sermon. It feels ugly. It's going to feel ugly. Do it anyway.
This seems like the ultimate talent versus opportunity. I like the talent of Brown, the opportunity of Sermon. In the end, you're right. The matchup's better for Sermon. I have him back to back, so I guess we go Sermon. Full PPR. Also, with the Burke McBride news, Freiermuth is on my wish. Freiermuth shouldn't be on your waivers unless you have no one you can drop. That doesn't really help you right now if you have to, because Freiermuth is this. Oh no, I guess okay. Yeah, there's your perfect opportunity. Freiermuth is Sunday night. If you can drop someone for Freiermuth, pick Freiermuth up. I think McBride plays, but he shouldn't be on waivers anyways. But is a perfect fallback in case McBride sits. So find a way to add him.
And maybe you can wait, like you said, wait till the games start, see how guys are doing on your bench, and then drop one of those guys if that's possible in your league and grab Freiermuth before he starts.
For the 1 o'clock, yeah, if you can drop a player after they started.
Yeah, on the
bench.
Bet
anyone in the early games or the 1 o'clock games, but I wouldn't leave Freiermuth on your waivers too long. While we wait for some more questions, I'm looking through. Like, I know when I set my lineups, I had a whole bunch of, really? But as I scroll through, trying to look for some of these, I've got a surprising amount of Justice Hill between injuries and the 4 bye week teams. It seems like there was a good running back on all 4 of the bye week teams. Justice Hill's in there. You got Bo Melton in any of your starting lineups?
I definitely picked him up in a couple of spots where I have Jordan Love, but I don't think I'm plugging him in. I mean, I'm not plugging him in this week. I get it. He could have a good week. I'm just not betting on it.
Bijan is not producing like a top 5 pick because he's not getting the usage of one. I don't know. I feel like this is one where there's an underlying cause. I don't know if he's secretly injured and they're not saying anything, because if they really like Tyler Algier this much, they should be shot. I don't know.
The problem is they're winning, unfortunately, right? This team is now 3-2. And Kirk Cousins has come alive. He was not checking down. We talked about this yesterday. Kirk Cousins was not checking down on Thursday night. He was driving the ball downfield to Pitts, but he threw it 58 times. That's not going to happen again. There will be Bijan days like next week when they play Carolina. You got to fire up Bijan next week. He should have a monster game. I would expect that to come at the expense of Pitts and a big Mooney game like we saw this week.
They're not even using Bijan properly. Like, you look at it, it's all outside runs. Bijan's typically been a, between the tackles, kind of make a move in a phone booth kind of guy, but the way they're using him is just not working. So I don't understand what they're doing. Having said that, like you said, it seems to be this case every year with whether it's Pittsburgh or Atlanta. They're winning, so they're going to continue to do this stupid game script they've been doing.
And real quick, so far they've played Pittsburgh, Philly, KC, New Orleans, and Tampa, all really tough fronts. Now they get Carolina and Seattle back to back those 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks are going to be really good for Bijan. So stay the course.
Neighbors, JT, Braylon, Allen, Hurts, and Brown are all on my bench with downs, but I just traded Allen and JT, so I can't drop them.
I am. So what was this? This was in relation to Freiermuth on waivers.
Yeah. Neighbors. I'm not as
off your bench this week. He's going to smash.
I'm not as high on Braylon Allen, but I get it. Neighbors, JT, Hurts, Allen, but I just traded Allen and JT, so I can't drop them. Trades are processing.
Wait. If the benches are that small, I don't think you need to go after Freiermuth. You just roll with McBride.
And then add him last minute if you have to, and just drop Braylon Allen, I guess.
Yeah. I don't want to drop Braylon Allen. He's a guy I really want to hang on to.
Who else are you dropping?
There's an injury, he goes off. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because of the small benches. You have a nice team here. I don't hate.
Well, I'm not dropping Neighbors, JT, Hurts, or Brown.
Well, the other guys is Downs, right? I don't hate dropping Downs. I think he's going to go off this week as long as Flacco's in there. And he could be the sneaky number 1 when Richardson's back, but who knows?
I like Downs over Braylon Allen. Long term, I don't know if I can drop Downs over Braylon Allen.
I'm trying to think of a few other decisions I have to make this week. Um, Roma Dunze is a real interesting one. What are you doing with Roma Dunze here? Keenan Allen back. Chicago offense struggling as usual. They get Carolina this week. Are you firing up Rome, or would you prefer Allen, or just stay away?
Even this
Oh, here we
scenario,
go.
I think I'm playing Leggett here.
I am too.
Odunze is one where if I have a team where I have to play him, I'm not afraid to put him in. But he's kind of like one of my bottom end flex players.
Yeah.
I prefer Xavier Leggett here. I'm not sure how much higher. I have Leggett at 32, Odunze at 38. So I like Leggett.
Yeah, it's really hard to argue against Leggett. The only argument that I can think of making is he's going against a Chicago secondary that has been awesome this week. He's going to be on the outside, so he either gets Tyreek Stevenson. You hope he gets Stevenson, who's been good, over Jalen Johnson. That will probably go to Deontay, but Deontay is going to move around the slot. It's a really tough one. Odunze's got a great matchup. I'm still going Leggett.
All right, my mouse temporarily froze and I couldn't click on this question. Jennings or Leggett? I think it's still Leggett for me.
Yeah, Jennings has been an animal. I did not expect him to do what he did last week. Only three catches for 88 yards, but 6 targets. That was surprising. This is that San Francisco situation where you do not expect all of these guys to go off every single week. We've seen Ayuk kind of disappear so far. That's not going to be the case. Kittle caught a touchdown. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been great for him last week. So I'm going with Leggett. He's going to get the volume, even in a tough matchup.
I want to double check the time on this. I can't remember if it was 9:20 or 9:30. It's 9:30, I think.
It should be. That's what I have.
Yeah, 9:30 a.m. Okay. So we'll hang out here for a couple more minutes just in case anybody has any last second questions. If you have anything on this game, put it in right away and we'll prioritize that. But we are here to answer any questions. I'm trying to scroll through like you did with some of your other lineups here. And the Houston Texans. Sorry, go ahead.
I've got one more real quick. Tank Bigsby is a guy I'm not afraid to plug in this week facing the Colts. I don't necessarily expect him to see the volume that he saw last week where he went off for 90 yards. That said, he was highly efficient. I don't expect that efficiency either. But he's eating into Travis Etienne's touches against a team you can run on, against a Jacksonville offense that I expect to be good at Indy. I mean, this could be a sneaky shootout here, and I think it will be. So I'm flexing Tank Bigsby in a couple of spots this week. I don't love it, but we got bye weeks.
Yeah, I see a lot of the Texans backfield being started by different people. Wale, Akers. Yeah. I've even seen a Damian Pearson. I didn't know Pierce was even back in.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I'll hit L. Smith on this one while you keep looking. Favorite defenses for me this week, even though Aaron's the guru. We got the 49ers against Arizona, look terrible. The Broncos we've already talked about. The Seahawks really sneaky against the Giants. You're probably going to struggle to find any of those guys on the wire. The Bears, I think, are really interesting against Carolina. Again, the back end is really good. Dalton's been good so far, but I think at some point that doesn't last. And then I kind of like the Jets against Darnold and Minnesota. I think they're able to keep up. Packers, another good one for me against the Rams. Who do you like, Aaron?
My top 5, I guess I'll give you. I Broncos, Jets, Seahawks, Bears, Dolphins. The one that's most likely to be available for you to add, I have the Patriots at 7 over Miami. They were available in pretty much every league I looked in, and I add them. I have a whole bunch of Dallas. I don't want to start this week against Pittsburgh. San Fran, I don't really want to start against Arizona. I didn't want to start there was another team, maybe not the Jets. I think I have the Jets. Yeah, I still have the Jets high. So
how do we feel about the Commanders against Cleveland?
I have the Commanders pretty high up. I have them at 9, but it scares me because I feel like at any point the Browns could become a decent offense and we could see that the Commanders could be frauds, or I could be wrong and they could just be a legit team.
Steelers are interesting to me too against Dallas.
Dallas seems dangerous, but what's up, Silva, Waddle or Stevenson? This is gross. I think I want Waddle here. I'm going to check my flex rankings. I'm sure they're
I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll with Ramondre.
I have Ramondre higher as well. I have Ramondre
Love
at 24.
Love Jalen Waddle. It's just without Tua, you just do not know what you're getting. I think you're still getting steady production this week with Stevenson.
Ugh.
Like Aaron was saying, he's just being punished in the first quarter. They're going to need him. They're going to roll his ass out there. Second half, he's going to be involved.
I have Ramondre 40 spots ahead of Waddle because I forgot that it's Tyler Huntley at quarterback because I've selectively blocked that out as part of my PTSD, you know. So, oh my God, look at my camera. I go from where it's way bright to where it's way dark. It's yeah. Go ahead.
For our Colts, people who are looking to start Colts, it is, quote, very likely that Joe Flacco starts over Anthony Richardson today. We've been assuming this. Fire up Pittman, fire up Downs, fire up Sermon. These guys all benefit from Flacco over Richardson.
Fucking cameras at 8 o'clock in the morning. The light is not cooperative, Jeremy. Pick one defense to play this week. Broncos. They're my number one DST. So
love the Broncos this week.
Ramondre rushing yards prop is only at like 42 this week.
I don't know if it's too low. I think it's an interesting one because we don't know the exact usage. I think he hits 10 carries, but I don't know if he goes much beyond that. Can he do 4.2 a carry against Miami? Yes. Will he with David Andrews out? It's a really tough one. I might go under, but it's not one I really want to bet.
I don't know. I think I take the over, but I don't know if this is definitely not way too low. Yeah. I feel like he's probably got 50 yards in him, but it's tough. Need one. Hill, so I assume that's Justice, Roshan, Tank, Sermon. This has got to be Sermon, right?
Yeah, even if that's Dell, I'm still rolling with Sermon. We got Flacco pretty much confirmed in. Sermon's going to get the work, especially at the goal line. The Jags defense sucks. Olakun out. Go Sermon.
I'm not taking Ayuk out or Marvin Harrison Jr. If I'm going to start Dell, I don't think Downs. I don't think I start Downs for this. If I do, it's probably for Pickens.
I'm taking JSN out. I am a JSN lover. But they're playing the Giants, and this game is going to get out of hand fast. Certainly, JSN could be a part of that early on, but I just think Downs has an awesome game here. So it's JSN or Ayuk for me. I'll probably lean that Ayuk is more necessary if Arizona can turn on the offense, but the Giants are dead in the water this week. So
let's go JSN then. You said JSN or Ayuk. I say JSN or Pickens, so JSN by default.
Yeah. Agree.
Keep rolling with Brock Bowers or roll the dice with Njoku. Cleveland has Washington. I have Bowers in my lineup. I don't love that matchup, but he's not going to get Surtanned. So I have Bowers at 4 and Bowers at 4. I don't even know where I have Njoku. It's significantly lower. I have Njoku down at 18. So I hate starting these players first game back off of a multi-game absence, especially in the case of a hamstring injury, because all it takes is one play and I'm done. One route ran and nothing. So I would definitely go Brock Bowers here.
I agree. I just moved Bowers down to tight end 7. I can't get him any lower. I know he had a down week last week. I know Denver defense is great, but there's no way they're going to be able to throw to Jacoby Myers. We've talked about that. Patrick Surtain, like you just mentioned, unless they move him around. I think Trey Tucker becomes necessary. I think they have to figure out how to get the ball to Bowers to even have any chance in this game. So I'm not betting on Njoku. I'm going Bowers.
I think this is your Garrett Wilson week. Finally, it's finally
I'm right there with you.
I have him at 15. He's been awful. The matchup's not wonderful, but Minnesota you can put up points on. This, I think, is going to be a case of let's see if Rodgers has anything left, because Rodgers hasn't been great for him.
He does. So. It's can they protect him? That's really the issue. Again, Moses out. They're relying on their rookie, Fashanu at right tackle again. Can they protect Rodgers long enough for Wilson to get downfield? And, will Wilson be able to separate consistently? That's been his issue so far.
Who would have known he was best with Joe Flacco? Which is why we're starting Downs and Pittman today. Joe Flacco it is.
Damn right. Damn right.
I'm trying to scroll through here. We got about 8 minutes left, so we might as well just keep going right up until these games.
Well,
this game
I'll tell you one thing I'm doing right now is I am dropping Juwan Jennings in a half PPR league for Joe Flacco. with 6 bench spots, I am keeping 3 quarterbacks in Richardson, Darnold, and Flacco, and I'm going to fire up Flacco this week.
I have the Jets on my bench in one league for the Patriots DST, and I'm starting to rethink this because I'm trying to look because I think I'm going to need a flex play for this week. And I'm starting to think I may not be able to have the luxury of carrying 2 DSTs. Yeah. But then the best option here is, do I want to play Gabe Davis?
No.
Barf. No. 2 DSTs it is, man. 2 DSTs it
is. Let's see if I have any interesting ones. I'm playing Noah Gray over
Mark Andrews.
Jordan Akins.
Curtis Samuels is an interesting one here. He's put up 5 and 6 in the last 2 games, but I think he could see some usage. I'm wondering if I can get Samuels. I have this lineup that's decimated here. So I'm going to have to do this. So I'm going to have to add here. I'm going to have to add Curtis Samuel and drop the Patriots DST, and I'm going to have to play the Jets because I need someone. Because right now I have Njoku as my flex. Okay, so here, I have a couple of questions I'm going to ask you here.
Yep, go for it.
Njoku, do I play? My tight end options are Njoku or Andrews. Can I?
You got to
Njoku looks like he's going to play, right? You think Njoku in my starting lineup here over Andrews?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then so that means, do I take Andrews or Curtis Samuel?
Probably Curtis Samuel. I agree with you. Curtis Samuel, they were using him a lot out of the backfield as well in the last couple of weeks, especially with Khalil Shakir down. That role, like you mentioned earlier, goes to Curtis Samuel. I expect him to see at least 6-7 targets. We know he can be efficient with those in his past, in his career. Keon Coleman does not worry me for taking away targets. Dalton Kincaid's going to get his anyway. So, yeah, I will roll with Samuel.
I also have Roschon or Mostert over Samuel. Still playing Samuel, I think.
Mostert's a consideration. Roschon's really interesting. He's got a great matchup against Carolina this week. I just don't know that he's going to get more than a handful of touches. I mean,
yeah,
we'll see.
And Noah Gray or Njoku?
Oh, Njoku. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, let's get to some of these questions here before we have to get out of here. Cool. Jennings, Wicks. That's Amari Cooper or Wilson, I think.
Got to be Amari. I'm going Cooper.
Wilson?
I'm going Cooper.
No, I have it as Wicks and Cooper as well. Oh, no, I don't. I have Cooper and Wilson is what I have.
Cooper and Wilson. Wicks is really interesting. I'll go Cooper and Wilson, but
that's
if you want to play Wicks over Wilson, I don't hate it.
I have Cooper and Wilson too. Gino or Darnold. I gotta go Gino this week. I have it as Gino this week. You are correct. Added Jennings for trade bait, and it worked. I also dropped Pittman, which I might regret. I probably wouldn't. I would have traded Pittman after this week. I don't know if I want to do that. Sermon or Akers? That's a Sermon by a mile, I think.
This is really close. This is really, really close. Let's see where I have that in my rankings. I don't mind Sermon. Like I said, Sermon is my 16. Akers is my 30 against Buffalo, but you can run on Buffalo. I might, with the news, pull him up. It's really hard to pull Akers up this week. Let's go Sermon.
All right. Do we have any more questions? Let's see. Here we go. Pick one flex half PPR. BTJ, Higgins, DJ Moore. So it's not DJ Moore. Let me check between BTJ and T. I feel like it's BTJ, but let me check. It's BTJ for me. They're close. It's 24, 26, 28. BTJ, Higgins, DJ Moore. But I don't love DJ Moore, even in this matchup.
I have 24, 25, 28. DJ Moore leading the way just because they're playing Carolina. Yeah. Brian Thomas Jr. is probably the guy I want to throw out there. You know what? Let's do it right now. Live. We're going to move BTJ one spot over DJ Moore. Just throw him out there. He's so necessary. Evan Ingram on the bench. You can beat this secondary. They're also injured in Indy. So, yeah, go Brian Thomas Jr. and pray for a moonshot.
Need 2 half PPR. I'm sitting Keon Coleman. Yeah, I don't think you can sit. You can't sit Pittman with Flacco, and you can't sit Wicks. Period. Keon Coleman could have a game, but I think it's Curtis Samuel who gets the extra targets here, not necessarily Coleman. I think Coleman gets some, but I think Samuel's the biggest beneficiary. So I guess we can wait a few more seconds here in case anything comes up, but we have about a minute till kickoff. So go
If
ahead.
you're still with us, like and subscribe. Please follow us. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, of course. Like and follow, subscriptions always help, and we appreciate all of you. So thank you very much for tuning in with us. We will be back at, what is it, 11:30 a.m. Eastern to do another full start sit with the rest of the lineup. So join us again. We'll have Jesse and SC with us, I think.
Jesse, Jeremy, which game was it you said you were going to go to in a couple of weeks over in London?
Pats, Jags. I believe it's
Pats
Jags.
and
It's definitely
Jags.
Pats.
And when he went to that, I want to make sure he remembers to use promo code FFUniverse over at SeatGeek for 20% or $20 off your first order. It doesn't look like we have any more questions while Jeremy giggles chaotically to himself. We'll see you guys in about 2 hours at 11:30, taking you all the way into kickoff. Enjoy the London game, guys. We'll see you in a bit.